Hello and welcome to KitPlus TV, which is supported by Mediaproxy. Now, we've been hearing lots of positive news from IBC in recent weeks, and now with 8 weeks to go, it's literally around the corner. So today we're catching up with IBC CEO Mike Crimp once again to put forward a few questions we've been asked from both potential visitors and exhibitors. So, hi Mike, welcome to the show. How's it going?
Yeah, hi guys. Great to see you again, and congratulations on your live show. People meeting up and doing this is great.
Yeah, it's been a busy couple of months here as well. So, Mike, we don't normally have bits of paper in our hand, but as Matt said, we've got questions from visitors and exhibitors. So, let's kick off straight away. As a non-EU, i.e. UK now, perspective, let's start with a question that's not really about IBC as such, more about getting into the Netherlands with the recently relaxed regulations. So there are numerous requirements for entry into the Netherlands and re-entry back into the UK, such as the vaccine declaration form, health screening form, and we also need our NHS COVID pass. Now, the person asking this says, like many of us, they haven't left the UK for 2 years. It looks like a minefield and it's putting them off coming. Can you give some words of wisdom, any advice where people can find the relevant forms and what IBC might be doing to smooth the journey so people don't get stranded at Schiphol?
Yeah, sure. I suppose the first thing to say it's I'm quite happy to answer this very UK-centric question. I mean, vast majority of people coming from IBC are coming from within the EU, so they're travelling within that single block, and there's a lot of freedom of movement, and the way that the travels working there is very smooth. And yes, I welcome the question. I can understand it because I hate forms. I hate filling in forms and going through all of that bureaucracy. My wife will tell you I have zero patience with it. But I've travelled quite a few times over to the Netherlands recently, and I can tell you it's actually pretty simple. Yeah. What's really happening now is there's a couple of forms to fill in. They're quite simple because things like quarantine and PCR tests and whatever, they've gone out the window now. So the forms are pretty simple. You can really easy through the NHS app access a copy of your vaccination certificate that's got a QR code in it. And when anyone ever asks you, you just show them that QR code and they'll scan it. And then you'll be fine. To be honest, the airlines are very, very involved in this. So, they're pretty much checking that paperwork for you before you get on the flight. The chances of you getting somewhere and not being allowed in are pretty near zero because the airlines are taking all the burden from that. So when you get to the other end, you may get asked at random to show something, but every time I've been moved through it really quite swiftly. So it probably added about 45 minutes to me sorting out all my flights and everything. And then once you've got that QR code, it lasts for quite a long time. So you'll be able to use it for the whole event, not just the travel. You'll be able to use it to get into the show.
Okay.
I mean, obviously there are other countries that got their own rules, and IBC's putting together a guide of how to get into IBC and any advice we can that we're going to put on our website. I mean, I have to do the kind of usual disclaimer that you really should check the government websites because things change quite quickly.
Of course.
We're working quite hard to do that, and we're working with the RAI. And don't forget, the RAI have got events going on all of the time now. So, when we arrive for IBC, this won't be a new system. This will be something which they're running for every single show. So it should be pretty smooth.
And are you, one of the questions that came up was on the fact that AstraZeneca AB, the UK variant, we can't call it a variant, can we? It's a vaccine, but the UK vaccine isn't listed on the Netherlands government website as one that's allowed. Are we safe to assume that it is actually allowed? And it is because it's on the EMA site. The AstraZeneca UK vaccine is okay.
Yes, for everything that we know, and again from all the practicalities of people travelling from the UK, and of course many of us, AstraZeneca. I say us on Pfizer, but there are lots of people I've been with who are AstraZeneca. The European Medical Agency recognise AstraZeneca, they don't recognise the bits in bracket at the end. So we're kind of fighting a bit of bureaucracy just to get them to change what it says. But there's one version of it, as far as we're concerned, you're fine with that.
Yeah.
It seems to work. I have not heard of anyone being pulled up on it on their travels, but I do understand we're all living in a world now where we're looking at the finest little bit of detail so we don't get caught out, and I think it's fine.
Yeah,
Cool.
Yeah, cool.
So, Mike, someone's mentioned that for those that are planning to visit in person, the new rules say no face masks and no distancing required. Now, for those that don't yet feel safe, will you still be operating the perimeter that you mentioned when we last spoke, so that they can be confident the venue is as COVID-free as they can hope for?
Yeah, and to go one step backwards, there are events happening at the RAI, as we speak, and they have all those COVID protocols that are in place. It seems to be working well. It seems to be safe. It's been going on for a few weeks now, so I would say that part of it seems to have been proven. We are going to keep the perimeter fence. With the protocols that exist, we don't actually have to, but otherwise we'd still have to check people going in and out of the RAI. And for those of us who know it well, if you're nipping out of, you're nipping out the press room and you want to go down to the beach for a beer, by the time you've had your beer, you don't want to have to re-enter again, right? So once you go inside the perimeter, it's a designated site. So everybody in it is in a kind of bubble, really. So it's not so much about the safety at this stage, although that's important. It's more about convenience, really. So we've decided to keep it just so that you can move freely once you're inside that. Otherwise, you'd have to enter, show your QR code again, get scanned in and out, and it's something we don't need. We can simply get around that by having a fence.
No, absolutely. And a while ago, I think the last time we spoke, the RAI was at a 75% attendance ceiling. They were at 75% capacity for this COVID. Is that still in effect, or have we got up to 100% yet?
No, it's gone up to 100%. And
great.
So we've taken a view of what that might look like. You've got the whole of the site, plus you've got the extension on the side of Hall 5. So we've got plenty of space. So what we've done is we've kept all of those big main aisles and all of those open areas, because we don't need to now, but we're very aware that some people might still feel that they want their own space. So we've kept all that. What we're also doing is we've got lots of signage around the venue, just reassuring people, not just that everything is clean, but also to make, just ask people to respect people's space. If people still want to wear masks or they're looking for that little bit of space, then please give it to them. I think we're all doing that now, aren't we? If you see someone who, you'll just give them that little bit of extra room. And the room is there. I mean, the answer is the growth space we've got is more than enough. We don't need to manage that any differently. It looks like it will be fine.
Okay, so now we're getting into the nuts and bolts of what we can expect now. So we've arrived, and we know that IBC is going to be a hybrid event this year. So I guess by now your plans for that must be more or less finalised. Can you give us an idea of how that's going to be delivered and a quick overview of the experience?
Yeah, sure. So it's a single sign-on. So when you register for IBC, you'll be asked some extra questions. Some of them are about health and safety, but the others are really about your trip. It takes a few more minutes, maybe 5 more minutes to fill in the extra questions. So then when you've registered, you'd be invited to join IBC digital platform, and there'll be a kind of a 45-second overview, so to show you how it works and what the different features are. So there's each exhibitor who's at IBC has got a kind of a free entry for their brand position. So all the exhibitors will be listed on there. If you're a visitor and you want to contact them, you can make appointments. You can put appointments in a diary with them. You can schedule video calls with them, so you can interact with them in that way. there's also an AI product recommendation engine, so it will recommend products and content to you based on your preferences when you log in. So you'll get those recommendations. So it kind of depends what package you've got on the platform, but everyone will have a presence, and then you can have a certain amount of products and a certain amount of things on it. So that will come up in the recommendations. And there's a lot of content. So we've got five stages across the whole of the halls. One will be a live theatre, and the other four will have sessions on, which will be, live to the audience at the RAI, but with a 4-hour VOD turnaround. So all of that content will then be on the platform. So if you're an exhibitor, you will get the benefit of not just your stand leads, but also all of the virtual views of your products and appointments that have been made,
right,
all into one centralized box. And to be honest, we've got exhibitor sessions on the stage. I would recommend people, if they can, there's still a few slots to try and join those, because in that way you'll also get all the leads from the physical audience off of your stand in the theatre, and all of the leads from all the people that are viewing the content. So if one of the things we're trying to do is really make sure that the value is there. If people can't attend, we want to give them interesting content so that they can still have that engagement, either through products or through leads or through networking and sales calls on the platform. So that's how it works. It launches on October the 21st. We're going through all the testing. It looks quite good, actually.
Cool. Look forward to it. We'll have a look. Now, assuming we have got, let's assume we've got one of these forward-thinking exhibitors that actually wants to actually get involved in this, and he wants to engage with the hybrid audience. As one of the exhibitors has asked, what they might need in terms of internet provision and hardware themselves if they invest in that feature.
Yes, it's a good question. We're just double checking with the RAI at the moment, but from the way that the platform works and the way our IT guys are looking at it, I don't think exhibitors will need much different. On the basis that every stand's got has an internet connection for doing their own business anyway. So if they don't have any internet connection, it's an issue. But nearly everyone has something, right? So the platform will be able to work on that. The key question for us really is, like, with all this extra traffic going on, we need to ensure that the RAI have got enough capacity, bandwidth, everything to make sure that they can deal with all the extra traffic. So that's more the challenge than the individual. Then the individual link is making sure that all this extra activity can be done within the RAI network. But they run the whole of IBC, so it's a pretty serious network. They run Cisco Live, they run a whole bunch of things, so it should be fine.
Yeah,
should be fine.
These next couple of questions might be a little bit repetitive on what you've already said, but we'll ask them anyway, and we can just recover things if we need to. So along the same lines, what would a hybrid event offer remote attendees in terms of access to the show floor? Do you know how this will look, and what's the one tip you could give both exhibitors and visitors to take full advantage of the hybrid experience?
Yeah, well, I've kind of explained how it works. So I think if you can't get to the show, you will be able to consume content, make appointments, look at products. Clearly you won't be able to have a beer, you won't be able to shake hands, and you might suffer a little bit of degree of FOMO, but it will, as best you can with a virtual platform, give you an engagement. And of course, for the exhibitors, all of that engagement, what we've been clear about doing is making sure that all of that is captured. So, to get a bit technical behind it, we're using the IABM BAM taxonomy across all of the content that's on there. So when you're making those choices, either when you register or whether you search content or products, it will tag against you and it will all end up in your inbox. So the other thing the platform gives exhibitors is some pretty decent analytics in one place of everything from their stand leads, everything from their off stand leads, and everything from the virtual, all in one place. And that's IBC's genuine attempt to try and make sure that we're giving as much value as we can in a year where some people just physically won't be able to get there. Tips, well, that's a good question. If I was an exhibitor, the first thing I think I would do would be to try and get on one of those sessions, on one of the stages, because it will undoubtedly give you some thought leadership position and some content that you might want to use beyond the show. It will undoubtedly give you some sales leads from the people who are in the audience, because by going into that theatre, they're agreeing that you can have their sales leads. And you'll get the leads from all the people that are viewing it, not just at that point in time, but all the way, all the time that the platform's open, all the way running through into 2022. So that's what I would suggest that they do. The second one is sort of a bit of a commercial for the sales team, in the sense that every exhibitor has a bronze pass, which gives them the branding opportunity and the opportunity to have matchmaking and appointments. But it doesn't give them a lot of room to have products. And the way that the platform is driven, as I've described to you with the BAM taxonomy, is that it really is an engine that's driving product recommendation and product engagement. So I would say consider upgrading from bronze to silver, because you will shoot up the rankings and you're likely to get far more leads out of it. But that's a commercial decision. But I would say that was a good tip. Okay,
well, you're allowed to do that. So again, we've kind of touched on this. So it's a bit, we might need to sort of think about how we go about giving this information. But a common question from exhibitors' point of view is what extra value the digital platform will give the physical exhibitors. We've kind of covered that with what you've just said with products, etc. But does the added value of a hybrid event for the remote attendee take any value away from those attendees on the show floor? I think this is going down to let's give an argument as to why attend. Where's the because we're putting a lot of effort into the hybrid, aren't we?
Yeah, I mean, it's the hybrid's going to add a lot of value to it, but I think we can all say it's not going to be the same as being there. I mean, I should be in Las Vegas now.
Yeah,
I'm really disappointed that I'm not there, and I know lots of people are. And I feel really sorry for all of our friends at NAB that it didn't quite happen.
Absolutely.
For them. But we're all looking forward to it. I mean, I'm not going to look forward to logging into a virtual platform in the same way as I'm going to look forward to meeting my friends and making those sort of contacts. Really, it's a different thing.
Good shout.
Just to reiterate, if you are an exhibitor there, I mean, you've got a choice to engage with the virtual or not. I would say do it. There's not a lot of effort to be involved in it, and you will get some sales leads in it. Give it a go. The more people that are in it and engage with it, the more value that they will get out of it. It is a choice. Lots of people, I think, will want to do it because it's going to generate leads.
Yeah, use it.
Cool. So you briefly touched on this previously, but someone said we're used to 14 or 15 halls at the RAI with around 1,500 exhibitors. With the lesser number of exhibitors expected, will the floor plan utilise all the space we're used to with a more spacious layout to give people room, or will the number of halls be reduced this year?
Yeah, the number of halls will be reduced. We were always planning to do that, to be honest with you, because we got those two big pavilions that we will always build. But since we were last at the RAI, they've extended Hall 5 massively. If anyone who went to the last ISE show that was at the RAI will have seen that. So we wouldn't have needed that space anyway. That we won't have those two pavilions. One of the halls will be closed, and I can't remember which one it is now. And a couple of the others will be walled off to be a bit smaller just to get the experience, right? So I'm trying to be, honest and transparent here. Where we normally have 1,500 exhibitors, we've got about just over 700, and I can't remember the exact number, Halsey, but there's 9 or 10, and there's, and we've got extra space if we need it. So it will be a substantial show. It's really going to be worth going to. Does it bear comparison with 2019, which was the best one ever? Well, I think it will be a valuable show, but we all know that we're back into a recovery period. And what I would say to people is, to make it a success, please come along.
So here's a good one. Would have been relevant to us a while ago. Question from a media outlet. With touch points to be minimised, and I think they're still going to be minimised, does this mean no magazines at the show? And I guess that's flyers, paper, business cards. Yeah. What's the story on that now?
Well, it's a good question. We've always followed, in all aspects of health and safety, we've always followed the Dutch government protocols, because they're the experts and we're following. So when the rules changed in the Netherlands, that protocol was changed again. So actually you can have paper now. So we are allowing paper. We're not recommending it. In fact, IBC, and we all know that IBC does a lot of print, including the IBC Daily and whatever.
Yeah.
IBC is remaining completely digital, and we're asking people to do that because of the environment and sustainability. It gives a bit of a boost to that agenda. However, we do have friends who make money out of printing paper things. So, there's obviously ad revenue involved in it. So, we are allowing that. We're allowing people to give paper on their stands, and we're allowing magazines in Press Alley if people really want them. What we're not allowing, and we're really clamping down on, is people, like you see them at the top of the escalators at all shows, where people are trying to push things on people, or they're leaving things in common areas. We don't really want that. It's not something that's been requested or necessarily valued. It is just creating, it's just not particularly valuable, not very good for the hygiene in the environment. So we are doing that. So people have approached us to say, please, can I bring my magazine now? Then the answer is yes, but there are rules which we'll ask you to obey in the way that you distribute it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Cool. So we've had lots of questions over end user visitor numbers from exhibitors, which is understandable. We know ourselves it's pretty hard to determine, but compared to a pre-COVID show with 8 weeks to go, how do visitor registrations currently compare right now? And do you have an expectation of the number of end users, i.e. not exhibitor staff, who will be attending the show this year?
Yeah, it's a good question, isn't it? 8 weeks to go. I think, I know anyone who's been involved in big trade shows know that actually, no matter what the year is, it is the last 8 weeks or so where the numbers ramp up. And so up to now, you could compare it with previous years, but it's not really kicked in. It's not a huge sample to compare. But the numbers they're going along really well. I think we're going to get a pretty decent audience the way it's going along. We're very aware that it needs to be a valuable event for all of those exhibitors. So it's coming along fine. It's too early to give you a number. You will have probably seen our press conference and our press release announcing all of our content program and pushing all of our keynotes and all the rest of that stuff. That's normally when the numbers start to kick up. So we're seeing it steadily tick up. We're pleased and we're confident with what we're seeing so far, but we're not quite at the point where we can go public with it yet.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So again, it's a little bit exhibitor orientated question, but it does apply to visitors as well. So many exhibitors attend shows to get exposure to visitors who have come to see the giants of the industry. And this question we had relates to the camera world, where getting up close and hands-on with cameras is really important. What camera manufacturers can we expect to see on the show floor this year? Have we got any final lists?
I did. Yeah. Listen, I'm going to say to them, if you look on the website, we've been completely transparent with an up-to-date floor plan and a list of all of the exhibitors. Wait till October 21st when IBC Digital opens and you put those preferences in there. You'll get all the products, all the recommendations, everything from the cameras and the camera world. But I mean, production and post is one of our big themes at IBC this year. And you know, I think if you are one of those tactile people who wants to touch and feel all the cameras, you're going to see them at IBC.
Yeah, cool. All right.
So Mike, aside from the direct costs with exhibiting at IBC, there are many factors which apply to exhibitors and to visitors as well, such as travel, accommodation, both of which are investments that could potentially be lost. How confident are you feeling about IBC show taking place in December?
Oh, really confident. I mean, the environment seems right for it. In the Netherlands, travel's possible. The kind of COVID bubble for big shows seems to be working. We've got a good solid 700 plus exhibitors across all of those halls. The numbers are ticking up. You know, we're very confident. We're not complacent about it. You know, I mentioned, you know, what happened to our friends at NAB. I mean, my most frequently used emoji, although I'm confident, is I'm ending every single one with the fingers crossed at the end, because no one really knows that something will hit us from left field, will they? But actually, there's no reason to think it will either. So and you could probably pick up my tone from it, really. Everyone at IBC is feeling it's like business as usual for us, you know, like it really does feel like we're going to have a good and confident show. I think one other thing I'd say is it's quite interesting, isn't it? Lots of the questions that we're getting asked here are about coming to the show. You know, how do I get in? How do I travel? What's the experience like? What will I see? What's going to be on the stage? It's like the question, like, is it going to happen, seems to have really gone into the background. And, you know, as far as I'm concerned, long may it stay there and let's have a good event. So I think there's that general confidence. Lots of people again asked about registration numbers, and lots of people I've said, well, are you going to come? And yeah, we'll be there. Have you registered? No, right? So everyone's waiting, you know, like, so what I would say is we're really confident. The numbers are ticking up. I've explained the whole thing. Please, you know, vote for IBC by registering to come, because it seems it's going to happen. Now, what you'll also see is the rise picking up its pace. They'll start pushing hotel rooms and they'll start pushing all kinds of stuff. That's all in place. We have negotiated for exhibitors quite late cancellation deadlines, so they don't seem, you know, too exposed if something really did come out of left field. But, you know, in terms of hotels now, you know, things like booking.com, you can get 24-hour cancellations. Rye Hotel Service for visitors should be offering 24-hour cancellations. So there's a bit of risk there, but it's not too bad considering, you know, the reward of doing business at IBC.
Yeah, I think, but, you know, you just said with visitors, you've got the 8 weeks to go. We know with our show, you know, you don't know. You know, most of those registrations happen in the last week almost. You know, it's oh god, I've got to go. You know, so yeah, it's very interesting. So this is an interesting one. Fast forward to 7th of December. Doors have closed. How will IBC be gauging the success of the event?
Well, I'll be spending a lot of time talking to people at the event, and that's what I've asked my team to do. I mean, we've got all kinds. You know, I described to you the dashboard that we're providing for exhibitors, so you can imagine the power of the dashboard that we've got, where we can see all of those things. But in my experience of all IBCs, this is a qualitative thing at the end of the day. You know, how people feel about it at the end and what the mood is. And I'd say I'm really confident that people will be there and be so pleased to be back together and understand that you know, it's a difficult thing to, you know, pull that show together. So I think it's a quality thing. I mean, my judgment of how I would judge it, IBC this year on the last day, would be to kind of absorb all of the comments and all of the feedback that we've got from the show floor and make a judgment as to how people felt about it. In other words, to sum it up, kind of doesn't matter too much. You know, I've got a review and we'll be very proud of what we do, I'm sure. But what's important is for us to listen to how the industry receive it and what they want next.
Yeah.
Okay.
So a final question, Mike, and this one normally comes from Matt. So is the beach open, and where else can we send him to get together with his industry colleagues?
The beach is open, and IBC
Brilliant.
Pub is open. I mean, in recent years, because the weather's been so good, the IBC Pub has been reasonably empty and the beach has been reasonably crowded. Equally expensive beer in either place you go, to be frank. An ongoing argument with the right. But I think maybe people will want to be more inside, and all the restaurants and bars that are in the Rye are open. All that central area will be full of catering and beer venues and all the rest of that stuff. So it will all be there, and if things stay as they are, it will feel pretty normal. Just bring an extra layer, because it's December, not September.
Wear a vest, as my mother would say. Thank you very much, Mike. From our side, genuinely, we're really looking forward to IBC this year, genuinely, and wish you well in the coming months with the final preparations. Hopefully, the next time we'll speak, we'll be on site in Amsterdam.
I really hope so. Emoji, fingers crossed. Thank you for your help and support. And I'm just going to be really blatant now. Like, people, we really want to see you to Amsterdam. You want to be there. Please register. We're looking forward to seeing you. Thanks for your help.
Thanks, Mike. So the questions asked today were all asked directly to us from visitors and exhibitors, and hopefully you've heard what you wanted to hear. Thanks again to Mike. Really appreciate your time. We'd also like to thank Mediaproxy for their support of KitPlus TV. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.